these standards are the condition of some of the clinics today would be revolting to most Americans. And for anybody who cares about women's health, which is what the pro-abortion people say all the time, it's about women's health. Well, in this case, the people who are trying to provide for health and safety standards, which I support, are the ones who care about women's health, regardless of whether you approve or disapprove of whether abortions should be a decision a woman makes. That's the law today. Some women make that decision and some choose not to make that decision. But if they're going to do it, for goodness sake, they ought to have decent health standards. Well, not if you're Mark Herring.
Yeah.
And mind you, he was on the floor of the Senate as a state senator for the 2 hours or so of debate where the only complaint, the major complaint, I should say, on the other side repeated over and over and over is if you pass this law, it will shut down abortion clinics. Well, that argument made over and over and over in Mark Herring's presence by the opponents of the law would be ridiculous if you weren't going to apply the health and safety standards to already existing clinics.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Ken Cuccinelli is our guest, and we're talking about Attorney General Herring's unilateral move. I mean, that is, how does the Attorney General have the authority to just veto that, and is there some action that people can take to try to reverse this?
And mind you, it was a bipartisan vote that passed this bill.
Yeah.
So, as a practical matter, he may have the power to do what he's doing, but he doesn't have the authority to do it. And let me explain what I mean by that. He's issuing a legal opinion. And this isn't what Mark thinks or what do you feel like the law should be. What the Attorney General is supposed to do when asked for a formal legal opinion like this is to try and write a legal rationale to explain what the Attorney General's best estimate of what the Virginia Supreme Court would do if a case with this legal question were put before them.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what Mark Herring is doing. And this is a repeat for him. I mean, last year he said that nurses don't have to report potential child abuse discovered in these abortion medical records that the health inspectors are reviewing as part of their new inspections that are new under this law. So he's protecting potential child abusers using a legal opinion that overturned, in that case, a law passed by a Democrat House, a Democrat Senate, signed by a Democrat governor, that was interpreted consistent by two different Republican attorneys general, and that's over the course of 24 years, and then last year, he threw it all out with his legal opinion saying, no, they don't have to identify these potential child abusers based on those medical records. And here he is, and that was specifically because he didn't want to put the abortion clinics in the tough spot of having to essentially report child abuse. That sounds really rough, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, we have to report child abuse? Oh, darn. Well, Mark Herring is perfectly happy for them to not address child abuse. And here he is now, again, favoring a special interest on a very sensitive subject, abortion, where he's basically trying to apply a legal excuse to not obey the law.
And meanwhile, Ken Cuccinelli, I mean, yours is the only loud voice I'm hearing from the Commonwealth on the conservative side of the equation actually speaking up about this. It seems like a no-brainer. Set aside what you believe about abortion, just in terms of the appropriate role for the Attorney General and his role with regard to, as an elected official, with regard to our representatives in Richmond. I wonder...
that's a great point. Let's take it out of abortion. Let's say it was taxes.
Yeah.
So what if he issued an opinion, and this is of the same legal significance, what if he issued an opinion and said, the top income tax rate in Virginia no longer has to be 5 3/4% for individuals. It can be 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Attorney General have the authority to do that?
Yeah.
Of course not. But he has as much authority to do that as he does to do what he's done here.
Mm-hmm.
And that it might be easier for people to understand if you take abortion out of the equation, because the Attorney General has a role to play here. There's a constitutional role under the state constitution for the AG, and he has no respect for the constitutional role of the office.
Ken Cuccinelli, former Attorney General of Virginia, and always a good voice to hear on issues like this. Thanks for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. Have a great day.